Hey, I see. How's it going, everyone? One computer guy, you're almost first. Almost. Hey, Ness. What do I not have installed? How's it going? Hey, Dylan. What window manager do I use? I use Hyprland. Yeah, good to see you here, one computer guy. Banana's still going strong. My editor should be finishing up the video soon. So maybe in the next week or two we'll have a banana video live. Florian, what Teamux theme is this? This is Tokyo Night. I have not looked at hyperdynamic cursors yet. Let's take a quick look now. I do have my dot files on GitHub. You can find them at elliottmins/.files. Or if you're on Twitch, you can just get them from there. This is cool. I like this, the stretch. Shake to find is cool as well. Hey, Distinct. Hey, Wolfric. Yeah, I'm building just some middleware today. Really, really simple. Just because I got a bunch of Go projects coming up and I want to make sure I have a middleware package that I use quite often rather than re-implementing everything. Vishra, do I use Copilot or recommend it? I don't use Copilot. I would recommend using AI if you want to ship to market quickly. But I think for me, I actually spoke to Ken from Code to the Moon about this briefly on Twitter. He described it pretty well of like, I guess, code atrophy or skill atrophy. That's my biggest worry about using AI for like long term is it will impact your skills after a while. I think it's very good to use it for getting to market quickly, but I wouldn't rely on it long term personally. Make malware tomorrow? What kind of malware? I actually got a video coming out tomorrow about SSH on port 22. I guess it's kind of malware-ish. Can you make a quick guide to similar to auth.js lib from scratch that do auth lib? You mean doing auth in Go or just auth in general? Hey Florian, yeah. I'm glad people are remapping caps lock. It's definitely one of the best remaps I've ever done. Disabled AI for everything except TypeScript and front end. That's a pretty good way to go in my opinion. Actually, like generating, I guess, boilerplate pages is pretty good. Yeah, I didn't use it for coding. I have used it to generate like a success page though, because who wants to build that from scratch, you know? I think in those situations it's fine. Using Chi nowadays after 1.22 is still a reliable thing. I mean, you can still use it if you want to, definitely. There's no reason to not use Chi if you're comfortable using it. I just prefer to use the standard library. Sarah BH, I use Hyprland. Am I going to create a course any sooner? I'm getting to it. I'm spending a lot of time optimizing my workflow rather than actually just doing stuff, which is kind of a bad thing to do, but my workflow is kind of crazy at the moment. I'm hoping it's in a good spot at the moment. I'm probably going to move away from macOS for video editing to Windows, believe it or not, because I'm just having so many problems on macOS. But I've set up like a shared Postgres on my home lab, which is backed up to my NAS drive, which means I can now edit on any machine, which is going to make things a lot easier. But I'm having problems on macOS, like with A-roll. It seems to stutter for some reason, so I think I might just move to Windows for it. Hey, Shreyas. Oh, thanks, Benji Ross. I try to be chill. Zenful. I prefer Zenful. Yeah, SD-lib all the way. I agree, Shy. How you doing, Shy, anyway? But yeah, some of my frames are dropping Wolfric. Not tremendously, but it's not the most reliable. Sebastian. Yeah, what is the middleware in general and what makes it production ready? That's a great question. Middleware in general usually sits in the middle of something. That tends to be the definition. In this case, it's sitting in between your TCP, HTTP layer, which is bringing in the requests, and then sitting between your actual business logic handler, to use kind of like a Java term. So it sits in the middle. In this case, you would use it for things such as writing out logs, so logging your request, rate limiting, handling rate limits, handling authentication, all these sorts of things that you do quite often. Now, in Go, there is actually the Gorilla middleware package, which is pretty great. I don't know if it's been up to date any time. Gorilla Mux. Let's have a look. Handlers. Okay, handlers, I think, is the middleware that they call here, which is kind of confusing. This one's pretty good. It's got a lot of like logging. Does it in Apache common log format though, which is something I don't prefer. I prefer to do structured logging. So I want a structured log middleware. Method handler, this is pretty good. So, I mean, the Gorilla one is great, but it's not full featured. It doesn't have things like rate limiting, which is important. I've got to do a video on that as well soon. So rate limiting, authentication, things like that I use quite often. I want to just have a middleware package that I can just load in to make things a little bit quicker. Basically, everybody touts about how good Laravel and Rails are because you can do these things quickly. I want to have a package that I can do these things quickly in Go. What's my opinion on HTTP router? 4ply_exe, thank you so much for the 4th month in a row subscription. You are helping me bring my content to hundreds of thousands of people around the world and helping to support my dreams. Thank you. Razzo, the banana video is being edited. It's going to come out soon. Yeah, I am committed to it. It's it's on like all my machines at the moment. I just need to get it on this Windows machine. Okay, so yeah, what's my opinion on HTTP router? Am I in favor of it or just std-lib all the way? I haven't used HTTP router. I think Jin uses it under the hood. It's meant to have performance benefits. But personally, I am a fan of the std-lib. And there's a reason why I like std-lib. It's because you kind of have a guarantee that it's going to be maintained in the future. If that makes sense. So that for me is like, it's going to be maintained. 2, it's going to be consistent with how things are written in Go or how things are built in Go. Hey, that's awesome, Shy. I need to do a cross post for it. I'll do that next week. Sorry, I've been slacking on that one. For those wondering, I was on a podcast episode on Cup of Go. It was really fun. Shy is one of the hosts. What made me switch back from Firefox from Zen? I just haven't committed to using Zen yet. System specs, Rishi. Let's have a look. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and run this. Is it fast fetch? I think neofetch is better. No, fast fetch I think is better. Or is it neofetch? No, neofetch. It doesn't really tell us much, does it? It kind of does, I guess. There you go. CPU, GPU, and memory. Fast fetch is better. All right, let's take a look. One of them I thought was not very realistic or reliable. You like NVIM but feel more productive with VS Code? I mean, whichever one you feel more productive with is important in my opinion. It says my battery's charging, it's not. Ah, it's even got my cursor? Okay, yeah, that does give more information. You like Zentreus? I think like there's mixed reactions I've seen. A lot of people really like it and some others say it's not yet ready. It's pretty cool. I like some of the features that it does have. This needs to wrap a middleware, doesn't it? Oh no, it needs to return a middleware. No, this is fine. I can return middleware. This isn't TypeScript. TypeScript. TypeScript, okay. I am more convinced on TypeScript than I've ever been. But I mean, like, we're talking 5% out of 100 compared to like 1. But I now think I prefer it to JavaScript. What camera do I use? I'm using the FX3, which is far too expensive for a webcam, but I use it for a lot of cinematic stuff as well. I need to learn how to do camera stuff more, like learning about S-Log and picture profiles and all that, and LUTs, but that's the camera I use. The lens, I'd say, is more important than the camera. If only TS didn't need transpiling. I agree, Ligma. I agree. I'm okay with TypeScript now, yeah. I've gotten out of my old crusty ways, and maybe I prefer it to JavaScript. There are some things I don't like about it, but I prefer it to JavaScript, if that makes sense. Yeah, you guys convinced me. And I say you guys, by making me write it, you convinced me. Do all functions in Go need to be capitalized, or is it used to tag some specific functions? That is a great question, Dimitri. So encapsulation is handled, I think it's encapsulation. I can't remember the term. But the way to expose a method, or like a public method in a package, is to capitalize. Yeah, capital means exported, basically. So this is an exported function, which means it's available outside of the package. Whereas if I had func logging, this would be a private method. It wouldn't be exported in the package. So if I want other people to use like middleware.logging function, then it would need to be capital. It's how you do encapsulation in package scoping. All right, so this is going to be middleware for logging. Pretty simple. But we're going to use the structured logger to do it. My middleware function is definitely not right. My middleware type. Yeah, so you can use them outside the package. Oh, I missed an interesting message there on YouTube. Shy, yeah. Every workplace ends up having one of these packages. That tends to be how I find it as well. So I just kind of want to have one of these packages for myself. I guess I'm adding to that problem. Maybe it could be open source and other people can find use in it. How did I learn Go? That's a great question. How did I learn Go? So I was freelancing for a period of time, and I was doing a lot of C++ in that freelancing. And then the industry that I was working in was also interested in Rust and Go. So in order to get more contracts, I had to just pick it up, I guess. So the first thing I built was just some automation scripts for like database migration stuff using the PQ, lib/PQ. And it was kind of interesting. I initially couldn't see, because at the time I was mainly focused around Node and C++. Node was used for a lot of web applications because that was what you did at the time. And I couldn't see Go fitting in. I think it was once... The big thing I didn't like about Go was the Go path, which thankfully we don't have anymore. But Go was very opinionated about where in your file system your projects had to live. They had to live inside of the Go path environment variable, or the wherever that was. I can't remember anymore. It was like .go or /go packages or whatever. I really didn't like that. I didn't like that level of opinionated, or that high level of opinionation. I think that's the way. So I kind of tried it, hated that aspect, and then waited. Still laggy? Looks okay from my end. There are some drop frames. Yeah, it still has Go path, but with Go mod, you don't have to build projects in the Go path anymore. So the Go path is now for like downloaded modules and just binaries. But before, it used to be like your actual code had to be in the Go path. So you couldn't like build a project outside of it. That was my issue in the past. Would you use a different logger in development and production? Most likely, yes. I would probably make sure you had a structured logger in production always. Go mod is a hack. Could be. It was a hack that got me to use it though, so that's fine by me. But yeah, I would use different loggers in production and development. The main difference being it's sometimes hard to parse a structured logger. Thank you, Mugurel. I'm you to go. What is the concept of creating types with a function? I'm not sure what you mean by that question. Yeah, I locked my battery charge to 60%, and it does help. The closer you have a battery to, or a lithium-ion battery, I should be clear about that. The closer you have a lithium-ion battery to 50%, the longer it will live. Is it really a hack if it's official? I mean, hack is such an interesting word, isn't it? Because like sometimes hack is a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing, and then in media it means something completely different. Or in like traditional, I guess, gen pop media. I don't think you can create a type inside of a function. You actually can. You can do this. In fact, I'll show you. We're gonna create a type inside of a function in a minute. But you can create a type inside of a function, yeah. Macon FRR, thank you so much for the subscription. 2 months in a row. You are helping me bring my content to hundreds of thousands of people around the world and helping to support my dreams. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I'm drinking Ligma. I'm drinking. You're also helping me stay hydrated. Last time chat tried to kill me, they didn't do it. I did live. Little Boo, running in the morning is a life hack. I did that this morning. Because I haven't been running because I've been real stressed with work. So I've been working. But I'm in a good spot. I apologize that I haven't done a video for like Twitch link. Is there not one in the description? I may have screwed that up today. I apologize. Let me add it to the description. But yeah, I've been real stressed and I haven't been running. And then I went for a run this morning and I feel a lot better for it. Only ran 2 miles though, so not as good as I should be doing. But what happened to Cappuccine? Cappuccine's still going. I've just moved off it a little bit. Why is there a banana on the screen? Why not? All will become clear. Let me see if I can get my Twitch link. Twitch is like twitch.tv. Oh yeah, I need to KVM over. How nicely does Go play with the dependency injection? I've built many a TS code base with custom logger classes that can be injected and hot swap for different drivers. I mean, dependency injection, for me, it's like a fancy, what is it? Like what's that term? $5 term for like a 25-cent concept or something. I mean, this here, you can kind of see on the screen, I'm injecting a logger here, which is kind of the dependency injection, if that makes sense. You can have more complicated dependency injection frameworks and patterns, but me, I like to keep it simple because I'm stupid. Dreams of code _dev. Let's see if that will update the description. What is my LinkedIn? That's probably, I mean, you can find me. It's not that difficult, but that's probably too much PII. Remember Dash is twitching? That's you? I will remember. All right, I should have updated. Let me know. Oh, I'm on the... If anyone knows a great KVM switch, please let me know, because I hate this one. Yeah, it's not too difficult to find it, to be fair. You know it's not a JS live, but gonna ask, have a SPA written in React. I would like having written in Next.js. You're gonna migrate it over? Banana. Okay. I hate this KVM. What do I have now? Like a really, really cheap one? I don't think it has a brand. It just says 4K DP USB KVM switch 4x2. To be fair, actually, I got a monitor from BenQ sent this week. I need to set it up. Expect a review out on that. That does have a KVM switch built in, so maybe that's the solution here. Especially if I move to like 2 machines rather than the 5 I'm currently using. Joe Mama. Yeah, that's my LinkedIn. Hey, Roman. 5 machines, I know, it's terrible. Like I got this one at the moment because I've been working on this video for about 3 weeks. That's probably why I'm really stressed. This is like a little Mac Mini. It's, I got a Nick Darwin video coming out. It's like in the final stages of being complete. I just need to QA it, but that one's taken me far too long. But if you're interested in Nick Darwin, it's going to be a good one. All right, what are we doing? Let's actually build this logger. Okay, so this one we want to basically log out whenever we have a request or a response. So we need to do our request, which is going to be the next.serve http wr easy, and then we can do logger.info. What is info context? I don't think we need to do context here. Just discovered test containers. Test containers are awesome. I really like test containers. Level 1 tech has a KVM switch that's supposed to be awesome. Ooh, I'm going to check that out. Some random dude. Yeah, the banana's awesome. What desktop am I using? I'm using Hyprland. I'll do a video on Hyprland at some point. I always take time on doing config videos because I want to make sure I fully understand and feel like I'm in a good spot to do it. But I feel like I am with Hyprland. I've used it now for about 3-4 months and I'm in a good spot, I feel, to teach on it. It is not Cosmic, no. This is pure Hyprland with AGS. AGS I'm a bit funny about. I may change this up, but yeah, Hyprland in general. Okay, level 1 tech, KVM switch. Two PCs. Is there maybe like a more than 2 one? We also have 2 input USB ones. That would be kind of nice. 3 and 4 monitor. That might be nice as well. Does work with 2 monitors though. That's pretty cool. Matthew Lord, it is NixOS. I put Hyprland on. If I reduce the padding, the reason I have the padding so large is because it is what I actually have on my YouTube videos, if you notice. I think this is like 95%. You can still zoom in though, although AGS gets in the way. But, you know, you can get rid of it. If you don't mind AGS. Annoying. Let's kill AGS actually. This one. How do I kill it? Toggle window. AGS T bar 1. There you go. Okay, we got rid of it. Now we can full screen. The only thing is you get the little rounded corners. There's some cool hacks you can do though with Hyprland to like change it all about. AGSQ. Yeah, I don't want to kill it. I just wanted to toggle it. Although this is kind of weird. It's over onto my other window. Oh, that is weird. Never mind. How did I learn Nix? A lot of trial and error. I'll be doing some more videos on Nix anyway. But yeah, a lot of trial and error. What's my typing speed? Like 87. You thought I was a GNOME user? I was a GNOME user for a long time. The reason I didn't move away, the reason I kept using GNOME is, one, video editing on a tiling window manager is terrible. And 2, window managers make use of the super key quite often. And I've like wrecked my thumbs from bending them back in a really awkward way from just typing. So, I mean, they're doing a lot better now. Mainly, ever since I moved to... Okay, so 2 changes made me able to use a tiling window manager. The first was using split keyboards because you use your thumbs in a much healthier position, and it's easier to use the super key. The second change, to be able to use it on my laptops, was to use home row mods. So very similar to remapping caps lock, I also remap other keys on my home row to have modifiers. There is a way to drag and drop, but it's like sometimes it's nice to have a window on top of another window, like a floating window, in order to drag and drop, and you can just use Alt-Tab to switch through. Caps is the most important key before a remap. It probably is. Bro, you tend to learn basic things like loops, functions, conditionals, file IO, and all in programming languages. You don't build projects? I mean, build projects, you'll learn those things. I mean, double shift, I think, is a good way to have, like, pressing shift twice, I think, is a good way to get caps lock, personally. All right, request handled. Let's go and log out the integer. I'm gonna do is status code. Is that going to work? That's not going to work, is it? Oh yeah, we need to wrap this. Okay, what can we log out then? We can log out the method. r.method. It's not an integer. You use right shift for caps lock? That's not bad. Show me your moonlander. I would, but it's like there's so many wires here right now. Maybe I can show you one side of it. Oh no. Okay, let me unplug it. It's kind of unwieldy. This is my moonlander. Wait. I got like the base plate as well to make it like a little chunky, a little more tented. Anyway, you can see my keyboard remapped conf. Yeah. Oryx Dreams. Let's see if it's here. Maybe I need to log in. Let me do that. Ligma Teetsoff, you resubscribed. I'm so sorry, I missed that, dude. Thank you so much for the resubscription. 3 months. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I apologize for missing that. I'm going to drink. Thank you again for supporting me. I really appreciate it. And sorry for missing that notification. Canada doesn't work great with your laptop's keyboard. Okay, yeah, so make sure to set it to run on all keys, if that makes sense. To map over all keys. I think that's how the best way to solve it. Let's see if I've actually got Canada on here. I should do. So, yeah, you want to set the process unmapped keys to yes. That, I find, tends to help with the delay. Come visit India? I may do one day. Whereabouts in India should I visit, though? Because it's a big place. Okay, here is my... Where's my Voyager layout? Okay, here's my layout. That's my Voyager one. Let's go on to my Moonlander one. So this is my layout at the moment. I could do with a little bit more with it, but that's basically it. Hey Chris, what middleware are we writing? We're going to write just a bunch of common middleware, so just so I have a package that I can use easily. So that's going to be logging middleware, rate limiting, authentication, kind of just a single place for me to host my middleware. New Delhi. The mouse is banana now. Now it's time to make the keyboard a banana. Banana keyboard. Does that exist? Where to set that option on a normal Linux distro? That's a great question. So you set it, I think, in the def config block. Def config. That's my guess. If I'm remembering off of my head. Def CFG. Introduction. Here we go. Def config. Yeah, def CFG, process unmapped keys. So here we go. There you go. That's the example. I would recommend doing that. Love your Voyager. Thought you would hate less keys, but honestly, you get used to it. Yeah, I honestly feel like the less keys on a keyboard, the better it is. I've been terrible with this. Old San Juan, thank you so much for the subscription. You are helping me bring my content to hundreds of thousands of people around the world and helping to support my dreams. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Exactly, yeah, something like Go Chi Chi Middleware. Oh, you are right. Test my typing speed on Monkey Test. It's about 87. I mean, I can pretty much guarantee I won't get faster than that. Old San Juan, thank you. Old San Juan, I think it is. Sorry, I'm terrible. Thank you for keeping me hydrated as well. Middleware. Let's see, what do they got here? Yeah, so these are really good ones as well. I don't know if the logger's a structured logger. Yeah, I don't think it is. But yeah, some really, really good ones. What's terminal middleware? Oh, TTY? That's kind of cool. Yeah, very similar to this, but more specialized to myself. I don't know if they got rate limiting. They have throttle. What is the throttle? Limits the number of currently processed requests across all users, not a rate limiter. Yeah, so I want to do a little bit more kind of what you need in production and kind of what you don't really get. gRPC with Go? I believe I did a gRPC with Go video. Hey, Sprez. Do I use Sesh? I've not used Sesh. I know Josh, though. I need to actually give it a go. Sesh looks kind of cool. How about a video on a web app server like gRPC with Go? I think I have one. Oh, you mean like more gRPC with Go? Yeah, I mean, I definitely have one on my YouTube channel about gRPC. Yeah, this one. Almost 300k views. We built a gRPC calculator. Cap and Proton. gRPC is pretty good. There's time and a place for it, I think. I mean, RPC in general is always kind of interesting. It's nice to know that there are other protocols other than just HTTP or REST even. Sorry, not HTTP. You still use RPC with HTTP. Unless you're a savage and do it over a TCP socket. What am I looking at? I got distracted. Okay, back to my logging middleware. So we're going to log the method. We're going to log the path, because that's also important to know. We're going to log the request duration. To get the request duration, we need to do a time, or start, I guess, equals time.now. Load balancing gRPC can be a pain. See you later, Shreyas. Implementing services, live stream, I can do that. Catch you later. Yeah, that's not a string, is it? It's going to be a integer. Time.duration. Can we print that in seconds or milliseconds? My opinions on Cloudflare versus Vercel law. I try to stay out of the drama. That's kind of not what I want my channel to be about. Load balancing gRPCO with Istio as a breeze. Yeah, Istio is pretty awesome. I like Istio a lot. I don't want this to be an integer. I want it to be a float. Okay, that would do. We can do this in seconds, I think. I wonder if there's a better time to format this. Better way to format it, though. Because sometimes milliseconds is good. Maybe we can do it in milliseconds. I don't know. I don't know. Linkerd can also load balance. I mean, I really like Linkerd. I think it's a little bit more limited compared to Istio. Hot take. People need to stop having hot takes. Yeah, unfortunately, the nature of social media is that it will always be hot takes. The music, no, I'm not streaming YouTube. I am streaming Stream Beats by Harris Heller, who, if you don't know, is a YouTuber, Senpai Gaming. He creates a bunch of music for streamers that are open source. Not open source. That are free to use or copyright free. So kind of open source. Lukewarm takes. Float for duration. That's unfortunately what seconds are. I don't know if seconds is going to be the right thing though. I'd rather have it formatted, but I'm not sure that if there's a simple time duration formatter in Go. I need to check that out. Speaking of the music though, it is going to run out in a minute, so let's change to a different album. Moonwalk. That sounds pretty good. Is this middleware going to be configurable? Yeah, definitely. I mean, depends what you want to configure with it. You think Arch is good enough? Arch is great. I'm a big fan of Arch. I don't think it's for everyone, but I think it's for some people. I used Arch for like 7 years, loved it. Time.rsc. So that's 882. It's not going to print the duration though, is it? It's going to print like the actual timestamp. Instead, I kind of want to print the amount of time it took to complete the request. Yeah, I thought there was a function, a format for duration. I mean, I guess the thing is you probably want it to be consistent anyway. I don't know if it should be in milliseconds, microseconds, or seconds, but you do want it to be a consistent value rather than it being formatted like time.ms or whatever. Why not use 0 logs? What's 0 logs? Why don't you put your tmux bar at the bottom so that it seems distinct? My tmux bar is at the bottom. You mean at the top? Nanoseconds. I don't know if we can get nanoseconds, actually. We get milliseconds. Yeah, we do get nanoseconds. So what, we just do nanoseconds? I mean, we can. We can do nanoseconds. Let's do it. Is it MV Chad? No, this is my own custom NeoVim configuration. NeoVim seconds, by the way. I don't think we want to format it. To be honest, it should, because it's a structured log, it should be consistent because this should go into a log aggregation service and then you would be able to be like, hey, give me all the requests that were over a certain... You said top? I think you said bottom, man. Let me have a look. Oh, you did say top. Sorry. Well, that's on me. Why don't I put it at the top? Because I don't like it at the top. I like it at the bottom. All my information is in one place. rather than me having to go like, hey, let's look down here. Now I have to look up here. You did say top. I know, I apologized. I apologized. Hey, Lewis. You really like Arch, however, since it is unstable? Yeah, you mean Ubuntu and Debian are definitely more stable. Arch has like periods. I went through like about a year or two with no instability, and then recently my Arch machine has been a bit more unstable. It's easy to resolve, but it's still annoying. Nix is better though, I think. Hey Cam, welcome. Glad you're here. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is actually capture the response status code. And in order to do that, I think I've talked about this many a times, we need to have a type that is wrapped. Wrapped writer. Not tempted to get the end time directly after the next? Maybe. You mean just right here? If we're doing nanoseconds, then probably yes. I think that's a good idea. That way you're not introducing any biases from the actual writer itself. What do I think about working at Fang? I think I've never worked at Fang. The closest I got was like eBay. So kind of similar, but not really. Not an official Fang, I guess. Wasn't for me. I don't really like working in corporate environments. I much prefer to work in startups. You don't get paid as well, but you do get to learn an awful lot. What do they mean by unstable? So the instability I've had with Arch is you can perform an upgrade, go to restart your computer, and then suddenly you can't boot in anymore. And that does happen sometimes. But unfortunately, yeah. You have to learn how to go in and actually fix things. Sopsnix, Sailor Bob? No, not yet. I will be figuring out Sopsnix. But yeah, I haven't figured it out just yet. I need to take a look at it. Vimjoy has a really good video on it, however, so I recommend that. Hey, Kadim, hope you enjoyed that video. That was a fun one. Yeah, I mean, I definitely recommend Vimjoy for a lot of Nix content. He's probably got the most amount of Nix content on YouTube. That being said, I haven't really found many other Nix YouTubers. Thanks, Kadim. I appreciate that. I really enjoyed doing that video. That one's a fun one. That's pretty cool. Istio or Cilium, that's another decision I need to make here soon. I guess depends what you're looking to do. Istio is, well, I don't know if it still is. It definitely was for a longest time the kind of standard. Cilium is slightly different. I've not used Cilium before. I thought that was more like networking. You want to start a YouTube channel like me? You should do it, man. Definitely do it. I encourage people to start YouTube channels all the time. Istio, I think, is like more of a service. Well, Istio does a lot, so it may have some crossover with Cilium. Let me have a look. Let's have a look. Istio for me is like service mesh, API gateway, traffic shaping, etc., etc. Cilium, I don't think it does all of that. Networking, observability, security. Maybe it is then. It won't have a gateway, but maybe it does. Oh, it does have egress gateway. Okay, so it does have service mesh. So yeah, you're right. It does cross over quite a lot with Istio. BGP, egress gateway. I don't think it has an ingress though. That's the only thing. Has service mesh, egress. But if you're using a different ingress, then that's fine. It does have a gateway. Why can't I see it in here? So yeah, no, you're right. It crosses over then. Cilium just CNI? That's what I assumed, yeah. But it looks like it has more than just CNI. Why do I choose Go for web development? I've been trying to like word out a video, which I think I will do. But it's all about kind of minimalism. I think there's a lot of decision fatigue, and we kind of had that issue on one of the streams. There's a lot of decision fatigue when it comes to actually building software. And the reality is, I think Prime has argued otherwise in tweets recently, but the reality is of it, most languages can do pretty much most things. There are some exceptions to that rule. And if there are, then you should use the correct language for the job. But most of the time, most languages can do pretty much everything. So most of the time, it's just better to have like a small or a common set of tools that you go to in order to just get things done. Why do you only have the purple bokeh? I know, it's annoying, isn't it? I need to actually change and add some of the other stuff. You got a mic recently preparing your first video but procrastinating? Yeah, that's a hard one. I think fear is like the big one as well, because the quality will never be perfect. But I think you should just go for it personally, because your first video will, I mean, unless you're incredibly talented or lucky or just hit the right tone, most likely your first video is going to suck, but that doesn't matter. You learn a lot from doing it, and you will learn. Like, it feels like you won't, but just by putting it out and seeing the response and then seeing what you did right and what you did wrong, you will learn from that. So I think just go for it. Don't worry too much about the quality. You will get better as you do it. Yeah, I agree. I actually like brutalism as well when it comes to architecture and stuff and design. Neo-brutalism is a cool design language as well. Sometimes simple is just the way to go. And like, I really like Rust. I think, to be fair, Rust is one of those languages that can pretty much do everything. Maybe there's some exceptions there. The problem I found with Rust is, like, whilst the language itself is incredibly capable, it's not always well supported with like frameworks and things like that. So it tends to sometimes be difficult to use it as a primary language. Going from Hyprland to i3? That's an interesting approach. How come i3 not Sway? Out of interest. Your local cafe, hey dude, do you work full-time somewhere other than YouTube? Nope, I am a full-time YouTuber, I guess. I'm actually starting to sell some digital products, but otherwise, full-time YouTuber or content creator. Self-employed, let's say that. You actually like C++ just because at this point you know it pretty well? That is, I kind of share that opinion. I like C++ pre-11 because I knew it pretty well and it was really simple. Since C++ 11, it's becoming an absolute beast of a language, and now modern C++ actually really scares me a little bit because I'm like, what? I don't like it. It's too hard to read. I understand, I guess, the original concerns of complexity when it comes to C++ since C++ 11. 11 was okay. I think since some of the newer ones looks very spooky. I still would just prefer a standard pointer to some of the smart pointers. I understand smart pointers and why they're beneficial, but I miss old C++. Good night, your local cafe. Yeah, C++ 98 with a few modern features, I agree. Why can we not use that? Does not implement HTTP response writer. What are you on about? Oh. There we go. Do I stream every day? I stream like once a week. I may stream more. Lewis, what am I working on at the moment? So if you do the today command, it should give you a brief overview, but basically I'm building a middleware package that I can reuse across a lot of projects. So I tend to be building more and more Go apps recently, and I end up re-implementing or just copy and pasting a lot of the same middleware across those different Go apps. I'm going to be building a website to sell a digital product soon. Not really related to coding. It's going to be more about motion graphics. So I want to sell, somebody mentioned, like I have like you can probably tell in my videos, I have a bit of a design language when it comes to the effects I use and how I display information, etc. So I'm going to be selling those to other editors or animators because they're very code heavy. I wrote them using code rather than actually using keyframes or anything like that because it takes a lot of time. So I want to sell those to other editors or sell those motion packs. And to do that, I need to build a website. So I'm going to be building that website in Go. But not yet. I'm going to be building it maybe in like a couple of weeks or something. Do I use Air? I love using Air. Air's pretty awesome. Tried to get my NeoVim style from screenshot with Carbon video, but it didn't work. What was the issue that you ran into? With Carbon? That video was a while ago now. Okay, let's write a test for this, maybe. We'd have to mock the slogger, though. Or get a test slogger. Does a test slog even work? Test, slog, test, Golang. Hey, we do have a slog test. Test a slog.handler. Doesn't seem like I want to use that. Can I share my dot files? If you do the dots command or dot files command, you should be able to get it. Thesis 500. Hi, Dreams of Code. Love your YouTube. Got inspired to try NeoVim. Couldn't make it work for the stuff I needed, but nonetheless, I've learned a lot. Well, that's great. I'm sorry that it couldn't get it to work for the stuff you needed. How simple is Go compared to Flask? I've never used Python Flask before, so I can't really make that determination. It's build a minimal application using it. So how simple is it? This looks pretty simple. I think Go has a bit more type checking, so it's not as simple. But using something like Temple, you can make it this simple-ish. You still have to actually manual. You can't use decorators. Is that what they're called? Decorators. Dots. Thank you, Ligma. All right, we got to test this though. So how do we test this? Simply. Okay, I think. Go is easier to put into production than Flask. I've never put Flask into production, so I wouldn't know. But I could see why. I have done production Go quite a lot, so. It is not oil.mvim. Everyone tells me I should try oil.mvim. I have not tried oil.mvim. I need to. I should try the PHP world. I mean, I am interested in giving Laravel a go. I used to write PHP back in like 5.6. It was okay. Giving Laravel a go. Get that Lambo. I mean, yeah, PHP I have heard is better now, which is okay, I guess. It's more strongly typed, right? And I need to give Laravel a try. But yeah, back in the day, PHP was okay, but it wasn't amazing. It wasn't great. I just have like a thing about, or can you compile PHP? All the hate PHP gets? I mean, it gets a lot of love as well. Give Laravel a go. Everybody got that PHP experience? Yeah. Can I compile a girlfriend for you? I don't think I can. Unfortunately, in my experience, it doesn't work that way. I think you have to try other approaches, unfortunately. I could give those approaches, but I'm definitely not somebody who wants to be giving advice on how to get a girlfriend on the internet. Because I think there's plenty of those out there. Whether or not they're effective or not, that's going to be down to you to figure that out. Yay -s girl from bin. I think like that may work in the future, but is that the way you want to go? You know? Why is this complaining? Oh, handler funk. Franken PHP. So you were using Go to compile PHP, which is fair enough, I guess. Do I use Coolify? No, I don't. I'm sure Coolify is great. I'm less abstraction when it comes to deploying things. I've never tried Coolify, so I don't know what it's like, but it's great that it's open source. I do feel at some point, I mean, I don't know what their funding situation or anything else is like, but they probably will push you to go on their cloud platform at some point. But it is great that they're open source at the moment. I don't know what the future holds. For me, I tend to like to just keep as close to knowing how to do things without abstractions as much as possible, or at least, yeah. That's kind of my opinion on it. I'm not trying to trash any of these abstractions. I think they're really great and they're make it very, very easy to do infrastructure. Definitely when I started out, there was none of this, so you had to do it all yourself, and it was very, very challenging. But I kind of got brought up in that world of having to do it by yourself, so I'm now very used to it, and I trust those skills more than I trust kind of handing it off. How fast can you edit stuff with Vim? If you're really good at Vim, very fast. Faster than using a mouse, I think. Do I think Go is valuable to land a pretty good job as a beginner? Yeah, I think so. I think Go is one of those languages that keeps growing. By Arch install, you mean Arch install script? Swift UI kit. What an interesting name. I've never used Swift UI kit. I actually did Swift before though, before UI kit came out. So I would have been interested in giving it a go, but I was back in the days of nibs and xibs. Nibs and storyboards. They were fun. Until you had to work on a team. Actually, it should be greater, right? HTTP. Wait. Storyboard scaling beyond painful. Yeah, storyboards kind of sucked. I mean, they were good as a solo developer. They were not great if you had a team, especially when you got merge conflicts on them. Oof. I do think Swift UI was the better approach to go. Use Node.js mainly, but they hate on JavaScript. Oh my gosh. See you later, some random dudes. Sorry, like all these YouTube comments just came in. Let's have a look. TDD? Nah, we're not doing TDD. Not today. First Saw, thank you so much for the subscription. You are helping me bring my content to hundreds of thousands of people around the world and helping to support my dreams. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I got a drink, otherwise Ligma will tell me off. Thank you for keeping me hydrated as well. Swift is a better approach to go. Swift is interesting. There are some caveats to Swift that I don't think it makes it a better approach to go, but it is pretty awesome. Swift UI kit, I was just talking with you as I saw. I said about being a YouTuber like you, well, I just want to make content around Swift and Swift UI. I reckon do it. There's definitely a market, I think, for that. You should 100% give that a go. If you ever want YouTuber advice, just hit me up. I'm always happy to help other content creators. Python Django and Golang Fiber/Gym, which framework is more capable of handling large-scale applications? Also, as a beginner in both Django and FiberGym, which one would you recommend? I mean, Go is always going to be more capable because it's more efficient. It has lower memory footprint, so you're going to be able to get more or handle more inside of the same instance as Django. So Go is always going to be able to handle more, but I mean, the bottleneck is rarely going to be the language, if anything. What do I think makes me different from other creators in the space? How do I answer that without shading other creators? There you go. That's it. I don't like to shade other creators. To be fair, I don't think many creators like to shade other creators. I think creators can do whatever they want. I think plagiarism is one thing that annoys me a little bit, especially in the space. I was going to tweet something about it the other day, but somebody basically like ripped my Z-Oxide video completely. Just redid it with AI, and that kind of annoys me. But that happens on YouTube. There's nothing you can do about it. What does shade mean? Throwing shade is like, not dissing, but I guess, how do I just define, chat, how do we define throwing shade? Voice, thank you. Thank you, Pikachu. How do I think, I mean, I try to stay clear of drama. I think that's the main thing. I more focus on the actual education part of it. But that's not really, a lot of creators also focus on that, so it doesn't really differentiate me. I don't know. I don't really watch many other tech YouTubers, so it's hard to know kind of what the differentiating factor is. You like the way of presentation? Sets me apart? Thank you. I think if anything, like a lot of people compare me to Fireship on that one, because I think Fireship, watching some of his older videos, he's very to the point, which I think is actually very inspiring. Don't you think you write a lot of code when you use Go instead of Django? Probably, yeah. You definitely will write more. Sailor Bob, you will write more code with Go than you would with a more dynamic language that generates a lot of code for you, but there are some catches to that. Sailor Bob, I would love to make YouTube blog content, but most of the experience is in a super niche, most of your experience is in a super niche domain. I think you should just try it. I mean, super niche is never a bad thing. You may have a smaller amount of views or target audience, but that actually doesn't matter too much. Like anybody doing YouTube, I would say don't worry about the views. The views aren't that important. It depends on your target audience. Now, obviously more views feels better and you're going to get more success out of it, but like having a targeted niche, like I'm going to start a new channel, which is going to be very, very niche, right? It's going to be towards people who want to do motion graphics using DaVinci Resolve. It's going to be a small niche, but the point of that is those videos will speak to that niche and I should hopefully solve a problem to them. So I think niche isn't necessarily bad as long as you're doing well in that niche, or, you know, and you may have to figure out how to capitalize on that as well or profit from it. TypeScript background with any everywhere. Yeah. ASMR voice. Thank you. Sending some negativity towards something. That's, yeah. Red Hot Vengeance. That's a good way of defining shade. British Fireship. Fireship's a complete... Fireship is a league above me. Jeff's, I guess, humor is just unparalleled, I think, in the space. He's got that kind of dry wit that is fantastic. It's like a dry wit that's not too subtle. It's like, it's hard to explain, but Fireship is a complete and utter enigma, and it shows. Why his channel is so popular. And it's more than just, I think a lot of people would try to copy Fireship's style, and I think they kind of miss the point, because it's not his style or the way he just creates videos that's captivating. It's just the kind of the wits, the humor, all of it that makes it so enjoyable. Yeah, completely different league. I could never be that fast-paced and witty. What is the last Lexa/parser that I did? Probably like 2010, I think. I wrote a Lexa/parser. No, maybe we did one actually recently for SQL. So a SQL parser. Yeah, his Fireship is just amazing. Thank you, Bullzone. I appreciate that. I spend a lot of time rephrasing my videos in order to try to make them concise and that every sentence has purpose, and that's like the longest part of my videos. Any strong opinion on fonts? No, not really. Even the ad parts. Yeah, that's when somebody gets you watching ads in an enjoyable way, that's always a sign of a talented content creator. Hey man, learning Go right now. What library would I recommend for REST API? I would always recommend the standard library. Hey Lake, how you doing? Do I have any recommendation on how to get started with motion graphics? Having a hard time figuring out what to search for. That's a hard one. If you've ever done game dev, then it's going to be a little bit easier. Obviously, After Effects is the best, but I guess kind of what motion graphics do you want to do? For me, the way that I learned it was just try different things, try to move, like, there's plenty of YouTubers that do motion graphics, so definitely watch them. But I can't remember any of the names of them. If I find the names, I'll share them. But there's some really good YouTubers that do motion graphics. But I think, for me, I always learn by doing, so just try to do some motion graphics, see what works, see what doesn't. The quicker you learn about easing, the better. Easing makes motion graphics way better. That's just like the smoothing, or like ramping up at speed and slowing down before it stops. Yeah, minimalism, I think, that's what I really like as well. I like that about motion graphics. Sometimes people overdo the motion graphics and it's like too much. I do like the minimalism, so just little movements. That's the thing about motion, is like when you're doing a YouTube video, you have the ability to do motion, so do motion rather than just leaving things static. One thing I now do is, like, when I pop up an image, just make it wobble. You have motion, you may as well use that. So no Chi or Jin, yeah, I would recommend the standard library personally. You're going to learn more about how to do things the Go way by using the standard library. Small walkthrough of the project. Yeah, so currently we're just building a middleware package, so with some commonly used middleware that I can use in my Go projects that I have coming up. Big Blob, thank you for enjoying that, or thank you for watching the content. What font do I use right now? I use JetBrains Mono Nerd font. Oh, sorry, you were asking Phoenix. My bad. Tresla, your recent video on setting up a production-grade VPS inspired me to get into self-hosting instead of using app hosting platforms like Render. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I mean, to be fair, it is more complex self-hosting, but there is a reward, and if you do it right, there is some benefits to be gained out of it. But I think I might do more on that series because, yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely more to do. I might do like setting up 3 nodes and having them load balanced with a node in front, which is way more complex, but that is true high availability. You love the way how error is handled? If error not equal to nil? I mean, it's the most simplest way, right? How do you recommend centralizing error handling in handle functions? Let me go scroll up. Using Go's standard HTTP lib. So handling error functions. I think Anthony GG, I don't know if he does videos anymore. He actually mentioned that's the reason why he doesn't like the standard library. And I'd love to have actually had a conversation with him about that. But standardizing error handling in HTTP handlers, in my opinion, which is never necessarily the truth, I think you should be handling it through logging out the error, depending on what it is. Don't log out failed passwords or bad requests or whatever. So log out. Okay, if it's, here we go. There's two classifications of errors when it comes to HTTP. There are errors that are 400 range, so user input based or client based, and then there are errors that are 500 range, server based. 500 range errors you should be logging out using a structured logger, and if you have metrics, putting them into a metric server, but logging them out, in my opinion, is the most important thing because it's the simplest thing. And then you should be returning just the 500 status code to the user, asking them to try again, which they should do depending on how that happens. 400, on the other hand, you shouldn't log out. Logging with the logging middleware is fine, but you should then be just returning that error to the user in order for them to understand what went wrong. So there's kind of two different ways. Honestly, the simplest way is just to have a utility function that allows you to build the error response, that if it's a client-based error, you can build it through that. That's kind of my hot take on, it's not even a hot take, my tepid take on how you would do error handling in the standard library. Dreams of Code Dev, what's the hardest project you have ever done? Ooh, that's a good one. Hardest project. I built a system that detected railway, or I built a system that took data points from locations on mobile devices and detected a train journey, or matched it to like train timings to determine whether a user had taken a train and what train they had taken. That was pretty difficult. There was a lot of edge cases in that. Like if you had driven on a car across the train stations at the exact same time, you would be matched to a train, even though you never took a train. So that one was quite difficult because there was a lot of challenges involved with that. But it wasn't really difficult to build it out. It was really fun. I did it in Rust, and that was pretty awesome. Another hard one is actually very similar, was location, indoor positioning systems. So we were building, using a phone's mobile data, a system to detect where you were inside of a large indoor space. That was kind of hard. Seven Oda, agree totally. That's how you handle your API errors. Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it, in my opinion. Hot tape. Lukewarm tape. Tepid tape. How to manage different node versions across projects in NixOS, like with NVim or other OSs? That's a great question. Can you use NVM on NixOS? Probably not, right? That is actually a great question, and one that I would probably need to do some research on. Okay, NixOS, different node versions. Let's have a look. So NVM doesn't seem to work. So Nix Develop is a way of doing that, but that's not the idealist way. Or the most ideal way, but Nix Develop is one way of doing it. Containers could help. Have I worked on gRPC again recently? I have not, Lake, no. Have I ever tried TempleOS? I've never tried TempleOS. ASDF, does ASDF work with NixOS? Multiple versions work. Talking about Node.js, did I see about Dino? I did. They actually messaged me and I just didn't have time to do a video. They messaged if I was interested in just doing a video, not paid or anything. But I didn't have time to kind of look into it. But yeah, Dino 2.0 does look pretty cool. Nix package for ASDF, there you go. So ASDF is one way of doing it. I do think Nix Develop may be another way of doing it. But I haven't done that yet. And so that's something I probably would need to figure out. Why would Nix develop not be ideal? The only reason I say it wouldn't be ideal is that it's more complex than using NVM, right? Node Version Manager. Yeah, I think that's the question, right? As YouTube's saying on A7's just saying, is there not an easy way like NVM? And Nix Develop is probably the best way to do it, but it's not simple, in my opinion. I mean, why is it making me log in? So, okay, ASDF with Nix Home Manager, that might be a simple way of doing it. If you're already on NixOS, making a flake.nix for your project isn't too hard. Do it once and you have a template. I think it's probably not, yeah, you're right, it's not too difficult. And the more you do it, the better you're going to be. I think it's, for somebody new to Nix, it's going to be harder than using MVM. Is there a good example project for separation of concerns with interfaces and modules? Is that kind of, what architecture is that? Is it like hexagonal architecture, or is it just in general? Or is it just like general project layout in Golang? JetBrains mono nerd font guaranteed to make you faster? I mean, it's a great question. A7, I will figure out an answer to that, but I think it is Nix Develop is going to be your best bet. Unless you install multiple node packages. There may be a better way though. I'd need to do some research. It's not something I've done on NixOS, so it's something I would need to do. No doubt. Yeah, I agree. Nix definitely has a steep learning curve. In my Nix Darwin video, I mentioned that. Although, if you're using Nix Darwin, you can use MVM still. More on the hexagonal. Good evening, Nibby Banana. Hey, Nibby Banana. If you try to do things not the Nix way, yeah. I agree, 100%. You kind of got to lean into it. NixOS, but for servers. I mean, it makes a lot of sense for servers. NixLD? What is NixLD? Oh, I see. Theme? Theme of what? Which theme? Yeah, the first time you realize you can't just run an app image? Yep, agreed. I mean, it is a bit of a spooky realization. It's why I really like NixOS. I think it makes a lot of sense. I have some issues with it. I can't use DaVinci Resolve on it, which is a shame. If I try, it just breaks. So like that's, for me, the one reason why I can't fully migrate over to it. Does it? Lake? I don't know. I still have the impression that NixOS is just like Kitty Neon. It's just a distro to present Nix. So there's a key difference between Nix and other Linuxes or other distros in that it doesn't have the FHS, which is the standard file system hierarchy path. So, like, Etsy is there, I guess. Let's have a look. So all of these, bin, dev, boot, whatever, like /bin, I don't think has anything in it. Yeah, /bin just has sh. There's no user /bin.env, okay. NVim and Terminal Theme. NVim and Terminal Theme are both Tokyo Night, and the font is JetBrains Mono Nerd Font. You can find my dot files on elliottmins/dot-files. Yeah, NixOS emulates the Linux file system. Red Hot Vengeance is correct. All right, let's see if this works. does not. Too many arguments to time.since. Not enough arguments to assert greater. Too many arguments to time since. Wait. Did I just accidentally kill that? I feel like I did, but I'm still running. Ah, that's annoying. Okay. Is Nix a bit like from scratch in Docker? No. Nix is a declarative package manager, basically. It's kind of, you define your system configuration, or, well, with NixOS, you define your entire system configuration, but with Nix, you define the packages and some other configuration, depending on what modules you have installed, using the Nix configuration language. Yeah. Nix is like when you have each application packed its own dependencies. That's one of the benefits of Nix. So like each derivation or build has its own defined dependencies, and it's a read-only file system. Yeah, it is a bit like Docker. You're right. Each package being self-contained is important. It's probably something I should make a note of in my Nix Darwin video, but that's such a long video at the moment. Yeah, it's a live stream. It's a live stream, and I actually am overhydrated, so I need to take a quick 2-minute break, but I'll be right back. All right, we're back. What window manager am I using these days? I'm using Hyprland. All right, let's get this test working. Failed, huh? is nil. That means we don't have a time.time here. I would have thought we did. Let's have a look. Rec.context. If I can have a land type. With the WordPress drama, it's time to recreate WordPress and Go and call it ZenPress. There you go. See you later, Razzo. Make outstore symlink? Yeah, I have that for my my what's it called? For my nvim config. It's awesome. Let's have a look. Nix home. Yeah, here we go. I actually use it for both password store and NeoVim. Yeah, it's awesome. I get tired of rebuilding as well. There's certain things that like it's nice to rebuild with, but yeah, these two. Obviously, I don't want to rebuild password store or Nix every time I add a password. Why am I doing this? Let's just test this for a moment. This isn't actually testing anything, this test. It's just testing that the middleware works, which I guess is important. But we want to test that, or testing that the middleware doesn't break anything. But we do want to test that things are getting logged, which we can do by having a byte writer, right? Not passing a context to the new request. Yeah, you're correct. I should be passing a context with the start time. But I don't know why I'd even check for the start time anyway. It makes no sense. Instead, I want to just check what's being written is correct. So we can do buff. This is where TDD would have been better. Okay, so we want to check that it's an info is being written to that buffer. I mean, we can actually just log it out and see what's being written. Okay, so we are getting everything written. We get the time, level. So we can probably create a JSON struct to marshal this into, and then we can actually test that everything else. Logline struct. And it's going to have a time, which is string. We can probably do time.time, right? Do I use OBS to record screen and stream? Swift UI Kit, I do, but for streaming, I use a Windows machine. Yeah, I use a Windows machine for streaming, which is hot AF at the moment. But yeah, I use OBS on it, and then I use a capture card into my Windows machine. First impression, yeah, the banana cursor is awesome. I got a video coming out on it soon. The editor's just making some final changes, and then it should be coming soonish. I really need to fix a lot of this. My struct tags should just be automatic. Do I even have? Yeah, I don't have it anymore. Writing struct tags out by hand is not the way to do this. All right. Let's decode the data buff into the log line. Is there a backend course in Golang in the works? There is, but I got to do the CLI one first though. Storm warning here, it's 22 degrees and 12 a.m. That is a great time to nerd out. Is there a purple fruit you can use as a cursor? I mean, you can turn this purple. Yeah, I thought you would be a fan of the banana, Nibby. I'm glad to hear that, though. I love the banana cursor. I'm now a contributor to the package as well, which is always great. Actually, we can just do error assert.noerror. Facts assert.noerror. Right, now we can test that the log line is correct. We can't test the time, that's the only issue. It's also not time, it's a... Oh yeah, no, we can't test the time. We can test the duration, kind of. Handled request or request handled? I can't remember. Method in this case is going to be a http.methodget. The next one is path, which in this case I think is just going to be a slash. And then the status is going to be 200. Hey Dependency, we are building a middleware package for Go of common middleware functions that I use, so pretty chill. You're making your nephew watch Naruto? Great. After like 3 episodes, he'll just be volunteering to watch that. You found an eggplant cursor? No way. It is a bit like Bloons, isn't it? Request handled, not handled request. Close. And it's info in all caps. Elements should be of the same type. Which element? Line duration. 0. It's kind of annoying. Do I have to really do int64 0? I guess I do. Are links allowed? Yeah, links are allowed. Hopefully he won't like Sasuke. Agreed. Sasuke started off cool, and then for some reason Itachi became cooler. So it was like, actually, we don't want Sasuke to succeed in his goal of killing Itachi because Itachi's a badass. How has NixOS been for me? It's been pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. You are 100% correct, Tresla. All right, I think we're in a good spot. We've got our first middleware done and tested. You prefer the Ninja Turtles when it comes to ninja content? I mean, Ninja Turtles are pretty dope. Itachi was cooler, but Sasuke's always been stupid, annoying kid. Yeah, he has. And then just like betraying the Leaf Village. Man, it ain't cool. I think like, I mean, to be fair, the Itachi Sasuke fight was pretty awesome. And there was a lot of build up to that. And then I guess afterwards, Sasuke didn't know what to do. I didn't like. For me, I think the best arc is the Pain arc, in my opinion. And I felt that had the best character growth for Naruto. And then it kind of afterwards turned like Dragon Ball Z-ish. And I like Dragon Ball Z, but Naruto shouldn't have turned Dragon Ball Z-ish. Yeah, exactly. Orochimaru was such a cool villain. Such a cool villain. And then just Sasuke kills him like super easy. I don't know. I don't like that. I know he was ill and dying, but still. Oh, yeah, he becomes... That also I didn't really understand either. It was kind of weird. But to be fair, we got to see the Susanoo, so... Susanoo? Or however you say it. So, I mean, that was pretty awesome. No one ever killed him? Yeah, he just got locked away for eternity, right? It's just so annoying that, like, I'm sorry, but Itachi was such a badass, and then Sasuke even, the fact that Sasuke even thinks, why is Sasuke just killing all these sick people, you know? Orochimaru's sick, Sasuke kills him. Itachi's sick, Sasuke kills him. Like, Sasuke in, like, an actual fight against somebody... Wait, who else did he fight against that was sick? Gaara? Oh, Gaara wasn't really sick, was he? Danzo, yeah. Whoosh, this is Tokyo Night. Not having a clue about what you're talking about. Sorry, Nibby. Yeah, I'm waffling on about Naruto. Yeah, you need to make a compiler as your final project. What is the best language that isn't Rust? C++. Or C. I'd say C++. He actually lost 100% of the fights against not sick people like Killer Bee. Yeah, I mean, that's true, isn't it? considering switching to Nix after Fedora. There is a learning curve, so it will hinder you a little bit. There's no doubt about that. And I think like if you're ready to take that hit, then do it. But if you've got 2 machines, it's okay to put one on and try it out. But there will be a hit. There will be some frustration. Okay, let's move on to... Actually, let's commit this. Or throw Nix in a VM, that's a great other option. The nice thing about Nix is you configure it once, you don't have to reconfigure it, so... You need to make a tutorial about NixOS. I know, I really do. It's just, I will do it. I'm like really hesitant to make video... Stupid, isn't it? Hesitant to make videos. I tend not to make videos that I feel like I'm not confident on the subject matter, if that makes sense, or like 100% confident. So like my Tmux one, I've been using Tmux for years. Now, to be fair, I still have so much to learn about it, so I don't know why that one I was fine. But I guess I haven't been using NixOS for that long, so I'm like not 100% confident, but I probably just need to get over that and just start doing more videos. What do I use for background music? I'm using Stream Beats by Harris Heller. Copyright free. It is pretty much lo-fi at the moment. Waves of Calm, this song is. Hey Josh, how's it going? Somebody was asking about Sesh earlier, actually. I haven't tried it yet. Yeah, I think I need to get over it. Like, especially with videos, I spend so much time tweaking and making them, trying to make them perfect when they never are, but I really need to just chill out about it. Yeah, I will do a quick overview on NixOS. I will jump into it. I got one coming out about Darwin Nix soon. It's more of like getting Darwin Nix set up though, and not talking too much about Nix and some of the more intricate details about Nix. Which is the problem. Nix is such a huge spectrum because it's like, how do you use it? What's actually happening is huge. I've heard Zig a lot recently. I've not used Zig. I tried using it. I think it's more. I think there's a lot of appeal for it, but I haven't used it enough to form an opinion yet. What's happening in Dependency? No color. No color. Well, like black and white. Oh, you installed Hyprland? Huh. ML4W? Thanks, Josh. ML4W? What is ML4W? Why is ML4W? That's weird. My Linux for work. I've never seen a ML4W before. Hyprland starter? I have never watched ML4W. That's a cool theme though. I might pick this apart and take a look at it. What's he using for the bar? Oh yeah, sorry. My goodness, what am I doing? I was just trying to make sure it was family friendly for everybody. Okay, ML4W. My Linux for work. So it's a bunch of dot files. I mean, it looks pretty clean. Let's have a look at the GitHub. Can you make a stream where you go through a big open source Go project and how you understand code flow? I absolutely can. Problem with streams, not that it's a problem, because it's the intent behind it for me, but I always get very distracted. So it's harder for me to like be very focused on a stream. Yeah, I guess it is annoying that it changed the terminal color. Let's have a look at the dot files anyway. Let's see if we can figure this out. Cursor. Ooh, SHs. What desktop environment it works with? This is for Hyprland, I guess. ML4W with Hyprland. It's a lot of scripts though. Kind of scares me how many scripts there are. Figlet. What's this binary? Okay, it is a script. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. So it's just a CLI utility. That's fine. Please tell me how to install latest stable NeoVim in NixOS. Just use the unstable branch. use NixOS unstable. Are you using the latest release? These are installed with Stow. Use a regular pointer, the banana makes you nervous. Why? What's wrong with it? Is it too big? Where are the actual dot files? This is what I want to know. Okay, .config. Okay. Ah, it uses Oh My Posh as well. Man, this is... This is pretty dope. Okay, opacity, is that part of the issue? Did you try changing the window opacity to full? Supplency? That might be part of the problem. You set it to 1? Okay. But it is just blue. Do you have like... How do we see this? It's hard to debug when it's like... There's no theme. It's kind of weird. Can you send me a screenshot on Discord? You can. I'm not on Discord on this machine, though. That's the only issue. Is it just... Never understood framework for shells? Throwing Starship? I mean, I think you're 100% right. You just, you know, you can configure it yourself. Although I would use Omo Posh personally. I think the issue... What? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What is this? What is this? Zen? But like, Zen as in... What is Zen? No, 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 no. I mean, it's fine. Wait, is this what I think it is? I haven't put a license on here. Bruh. 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 Yeah, of course it's literally the same. Bruh, come on. Come on. I didn't put a license on this. I should have put a license on it, to be fair. But that's risky. I mean, yeah, it's fine that the guy liked it. I mean, I'm glad. I'm glad. But maybe some attribution might be nice. No license, no rights. I mean, I will definitely put a license up, and I'll maybe just ping him for an attribution. Attribution just to be like, this is from here. Outed. Outed. All right, let's put some chill on. I mean, I'm glad that somebody liked it. It's great. I should have put a license on it because that would have made it less spooky for them. You kind of lost. Sorry, we're just looking at like configurations at the moment. We're looking at my Linux for work. You thought it was coincidence? Nah, that was the Zen theme that I created. Yeah, no license does not mean it's open to use. That's the thing. You have to be kind of careful if it's not got a license. Yep. You're right, 4ply. That's why I should put a license on it because it's fine. I would like an attribution. So I'll probably put it onto GPL or something. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I will add an attribution. I mean, I'll just submit a PR and just prompt for it. He's not going to be upset about it. I wouldn't mind an attribution just because I put a lot of time and effort and shared it with everybody on this. So kind of just to take it is a bit of a thing, but he's fine to use it. It's a great config. I'm not upset about that. Yeah, you're right, Sailor Bob. I should. I'll do that. Let me add that to my post-it notes because I need to put a license on it because it's open anyway. I don't mind. Add license. Thank you, Wowsy. Okay, so this should work if it's running this. I don't know why it's just on blue on you. 20 customization. Yeah, it does give good feelings. Just says custom theme. Yeah. Again, it's fine. I do use a window manager bar. I just hide it on my streaming window just because it's a little easy. I mean, nobody needs to see the time, right? Or my battery percentage. I mean, I'm not upset by this or anything. I need to add a license and then I might just prompt. Just say, it'd be cool if you could attribute to me, but it doesn't matter otherwise. I think it's nice to shout out the people that inspire, in my opinion. I think that's a healthy community when they do that. But otherwise, I'm not bothered. I use Arch on my recording machine. I don't use Arch on this. This is NixOS. Oh yeah, we're all lazy. I can't help you with the blue color, but like if you send it to me on Discord, maybe I'll take a look and see. Oh, I'd love to make a project with the community. The The main problem I have is like doing the videos takes so much time that I need to figure a way to like not spend so much time doing videos so I can do more projects, because I think those are the fun parts. But I mean, what can you do? The best thing would be if I start making money through selling digital products, which is what I really want to do. And I think that will free me up to do more, like to be less reliant on YouTube, if that makes sense. Do you use Arch just so you can say you use Arch? I mean, that's half the reason, I think. No, I've been using Arch since 2017. So the main reason, I mean, I didn't realize Arch was such a meme until, I guess, maybe 2020 or so. I think that's when it really did become a bit of a meme. But the reason I used Arch in the first place was because it provided the most amount of freedom, because it's not opinionated, right? Yeah. Personal files. Anybody's free to use it, obviously. I show people how to do that. I think when you're kind of distributing, repackaging it up and distributing it out, maybe then it's like a, you know, but lack of time because of After Effects. Yeah, After Effects is a big one. Now it's just scripting. My scripts are like write down a script and then I go all the way down, etc., etc. That didn't make any sense. Sorry. What I do is I like write my script, I'll record it, go through it, and then I like watch it back and I'm like, oh, this sounds terrible. So I go back through and change everything I say in a video to make it sound more concise. Thank you so much for these subscriptions, Dependency. You are helping me bring my content to hundreds of thousands of people around the world and helping to support my dreams. So thank you. Why do I use NixOS? So I like to use NixOS because I feel it gives a really nice foundation for having reproducibility across multiple machines. Editing videos or using Reacts? Yeah, I've tried code editors. It's not the best. I think like if industry experts are using After Effects, there's a reason why. Industry experts. I think like industry standards, sorry, not industry experts. If the industry standard is things like After Effects, there's a reason for it. Because, I mean, you can use JavaScript with After Effects, and if you're building out, etc., etc. Grip and Gamers, thank you so much for the subscription. You are helping me bring my content to hundreds of thousands of people around the world, and helping to support my dreams, and helping to keep me hydrated. Thank you. But yeah, I tried the kind of React and the other JavaScript-based ones. They're really cool. I think the thing that I needed them to be was more parameterized. So I needed to, if I could like build a motion graphic and then just tweak a couple of parameters, that would have been exceptional. It didn't really have that, and that's what I was kind of wanting from it. You kind of had to like start a new project and then change it within the code, etc., etc. So for me, that was the biggest issue with the kind of more code-based ones. They are really cool. It's just challenging. Thanks, Red Hot Vengeance. Catch you later. Hey, Gubbyology, how you doing? You believe that all Linux distributions provide the freedom you need, not just Arch? Most of them do, but it's just Arch is unopinionated, right? So the Arch user repository is fantastic because that gives you some sort of that decentralized package manager. Apt, you do kind of have that as well, but Apt just doesn't feel as good as the AWR. Joining late, what's the project scope? So it's just basically common middleware that I use being put into a package that I can easily use on some other Go projects without having to re-implement it. It's really, really simple scope. But yeah, I mean, most Linux distributions do provide freedom, but it's the opinionation, I guess, or how opinionated it is. I mean, Gentoo is probably the least opinionated one, but very few people need that level of customization. Epic Kitty, thank you. Yeah, Watchtower is amazing. When I was like doing the research for that video and I discovered it, I was like, damn, this is cool. Yeah, Watchtower, really, really awesome. Tumbleweed, is that? Who is Tumbleweed? Yeah, I think the only thing I would have added to that VPS, and some people asked in the comments, were how to redeploy the Docker Compose. So like if you have .envs, not like environment variable changes or anything else, And that, I think you have to use like an SSH GitHub action or something like that. There may be a better way to do it. I'd need to do more research, but I kind of assume that to be a very small change, and you would just download it onto the box. Like an infrequent change, I guess. It's like having to log into First Cell and add an environment variable or something like that. Any opinion on Zellige? Or do I just like Tmux? I like Tmux. I really want to give Zellige a go, though. I think my Tmux video might be hitting 1 million this week. So I probably will take a look at Zellige as like a celebration of that. Portainer. I've not used Portainer. Yeah, OpenSUSE. That's it. OpenSUSE. SUSE? Did Fireship boost my views? He did, but not by much. I did get a lot of like people searching that day though for Tmux. Fireship showed it in kind of a cool way. I really liked how he did his video on Tmux of like showing how you can use Tmux with bash scripting and stuff. Pretty cool. Just deployed a similar setup to your own site. That's awesome, man. Is NixOS good for beginners? Absolutely. Absolutely, maybe, I guess. Depends. I mean, going into it without an understanding of Linux isn't really a bad thing, but it's not good if you just want to get into Linux and understand it. If you just want to fully lean into NixOS, I think you can do so as a beginner. You don't think so, Saplency? It's funny because Fireship is a Windows user. Yeah, but he's got a Linux course coming out, right? So it's been good to see him do some Linux stuff. You can point Portainer at a Git repo with your compose files. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Docker and Kubernetes, huh? I might give Portainer more of a go. I think I'm going to do more kind of SRE, DevOps-y deployment kind of content, because I don't know if that's missing on YouTube. I really want to look at like doing load testing and stuff like that as well. So it's all for Kubernetes. I can imagine it is. Yeah, I think I will do more kind of distribution stuff, or deployment stuff anyway. Because it's fun. My next video is going to be on SSH port 22. Why I don't change it off of the standard port. But looking at why you might want to change it off the standard port and why just changing it off the standard port is not actually effective. There's like more caveats to it. Did you ever do some sort of CI/CD stuff in your career? Yeah, loads of it. Loads of it. Obscurity is not security. Because it's security through obscurity. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the main things. And then kind of digging into security through obscurity, what it means, why it's ineffective. And then kind of some of the comments of like, well, it reduces writes to your log file, your auth.log, which is true, depending on which port you choose. Some ports are more effective than others. And then kind of the drawbacks of actually changing SSH off the standard port, because there are drawbacks. And what you can do that's better, which is basically fail to ban. But I'm excited for this video. I think it will ruffle some feathers. I've tried to be as accurate as possible. Obviously, there's going to be mistakes in it. So I'll make sure to caveat that. Because no video is perfect. Changing from port 22 just stops a lot of automated bots. It does asterisks. It depends what you change to, which I show in the video, because there are ports that if you change to, do not stop automated ports. In fact, the most common ports that you change to, it won't actually stop it, because everybody changes to those ports. Thoughts on Jenkins? I've never really enjoyed Jenkins. SSH tunneling? I can do one about that. SSH tunneling is pretty cool, especially if you've got things locked behind like a VPC or whatever. Well, I don't know where my pen went. Oh, both of them on the ground. All right, SSH tunneling. What about just something about SSH? SSH is pretty cool. You can do like agent forwarding and all this other stuff. You like how I sound when I say caveat? Change the camera angle a little bit. Did I change it? So, okay. Camera angle is still the same, but I changed the lens. Yeah, further apart. So I was using a wider lens. Now I'm using a 35mm instead of a 24mm. So it's a little bit more accurate to how I look. Thank goodness. The 34 is like a bit more distorted, but you can see more of the 24. The 24 is more distorted. 50mm is like the perfect one. Thank you. Yeah, I think it looks better as well. There is a charm bracelet package for Go SSH servers. Yeah, there is. That's what terminal.shop are using. Also changed my mic to use a dynamic mic. Always been interested in deploying a VPN layer? Yeah. I mean, they're less VPN or Tailscale, whatever, is less attacked. Do I have a girlfriend? I am married. So I guess no? Is that the question? Is that the right answer? Good night, Ethan. Thanks for joining us. All right, next one we're going to add. Well, I want to do a rate limiting middleware, but there's a catch to it. So maybe I don't want to do it just yet. How hard would it be to make a templating language in Go? Not too difficult. I mean, Go already has a pretty decent templating one, but Temple is probably the better one. The hardest thing is creating the LSP and everything. Epic Kitty, you can absolutely link my YouTube channel in a blog post. Of course. I'm glad you enjoyed the comfy vibes. Do I still use MV Chat? I do not. I do not. I have my own custom one. Sailor Bob, how long have you been trying? Because you're right, it is harder than learning Vim. It took me about 3 weeks, and I had to put my other keyboard out of the room. Okay, 2 weeks. You're probably getting more comfortable. Yeah, Lazy Vim is really, really great. Using clear a lot is like shooting one bullet and reload. Can we see your earrings? You can. Well, if I take these off, but I'm not going to. I just have gauges, basically. Use C# on Vim, is that a crime? Not at all. Not at all. C# awesome. I've been looking at Blazor. Here we go. Blazor looks really, really cool. I've never learned C#, but I mean... Why can't I click this tab? It's weird, right? Oh, I've got like a bug. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if anybody here uses Blazor. It looked really, really cool from when I was researching it recently. Basically, it's Temple for Go. Oh, 6-column corn? Yeah. You're going to have to learn how to do layers and stuff, right? Yeah, that is kind of challenging at the start. All right, so we got the logging middleware. I'm trying to think what other middleware I want. I want rate limiting. I don't think I'm going to get around to doing that today, though, because that is going to be another video. Rate limiting or rate limit? I don't know. Live view on Phoenix? Yeah, live view is really cool. Validation middleware? Problem with a validation middleware is you have to pass in like a validator. It's not a bad way of doing it, but then if you're parsing data from the body, the validation probably you don't want to pull out the body in that stage, maybe. He mentions you got called out, Phoenix. Phoenix Live View. If you ever start a stream, that's what it should be called. So this one, we're going to use a limiter interface. I'm fine for normal typing at this point, but switching over whilst using Vim has definitely been on hard mode. Yeah, it is. Normal typing is good. I mean, for me, it was like making a lot of mistakes, and then one day it just kind of worked. So you'll get there. It just kind of sucks at the beginning. Wowsy Nupper, I'm not going to respond to that. Don't objectify me, please. Why don't I use currying? Currying isn't a bad idea. You mean just returning the middleware type here? Currying is probably the right way to do it. But then you get a lot of nesteds, right? That's the only issue. Currying would be good because then at least you do get a consistent kind of interface of middleware, which isn't too terrible actually. Why not just use the proxy's rate limiter? Does your proxy have a rate limiter? Not every proxy has a rate limiter. That's the only issue. So this is definitely going to be used in my guest book. Yeah, traffic does have a... Okay, traffic rate limiting. Let's have a look. Not every proxy has a rate limiter, but traffic obviously does. There you go. That's how you would do it here. But sometimes you want to have rate limiting outside of the proxy. I actually have a video coming on how to build a rate limiter. This is why we're doing it. Traffic probably has a way to make coffee. So what is middleware? Middleware is... It's actually a really interesting question because it's kind of a hard definition, but you have kind of your... It's any form of software, I guess, that lives in the middle of something. I mean, Gobology, you're right. Using a proxy is the best way to use rate limiting. But I want to show you how you can also build it as well. So middleware is any software that lives in between two different things. In this case, it lives between the ingress, which is where the request comes into the application, and then the handler itself. So it's all of the data that happens in between those two. Go by example as a simple rate limiting example using channels. Ooh. Found Emacsd on my dot files. Do I still use it? I don't. I do want to use it though. I want to have a look at Emacs again in the future. I think you could think in a very simple way. On a website, you have a request, and every request goes through this middleware. Yeah, that's correct. Go by example has a very simple rate limiting example using channel. I'm actually going to look at that. Let's have a look. Let's take a look at that. I actually want to look at this traffic rate limiter as well. I didn't mean to close that. The go by example one. See, I'm thinking this rate limiter should be able to have like a generic backend, basically. Middleware is the peanut or jelly between your slices of bread. That's a great way of explaining it. Middleware library peanuts, peanut butter. PB. Oh, that's a bit too close to protobuf. Go by example. Channels. Channel buffering. Channel synchronization. Channel directions. It's literally called rate limiting. Let's have a look. Will I make a video on how to set the banana cursor? Yeah, it's gone to the editor, so it will be coming out soon. Requests. So maybe I'll use this. What I really kind of want is the rate limiter itself, just the middleware. So the idea behind it is that you have a backend, like a rate limiter backend that you pass in, and then the rate limiter middleware just handles returning the correct HTTP status code and headers based on whether you've expired, if that makes sense. Any estimated date when your Go CLI course will be available? None at the moment. I'm hoping by the end of the year, but it's going to take me a little while. Does Go have Go 2? It does have Go 2, yeah. This just queues the requests. Yeah. I mean, this is still pretty cool, although I don't know if this is throttling or rate limiting. Go resource utilization, maintaining quality of service. Go routines, channels, and tickers. Let's have a look. Because this works for like a solo app, but it won't work for a distributed app. You hate the lack of a semicolon? I like it. I mean, is it always needed? That's the real question, right? Switch from Xmonad to Hyprland because of Emacs. Okay, so is this a rolling window? Not that this matters, but this looks more like a throttler than a rate limiter, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but this to me is a throttler. I think there's a slight difference between the two of them, right? So this will still allow requests to continue, but it just throttles them for a period of time. Whereas a rate limiter on like HTTP will return an error if you've exceeded them. Throttling, it doesn't turn away. Yeah, that's what I assume. It doesn't turn away requests. I mean, it's still rate limiting. They're very, very similar, but yeah, it doesn't turn away requests. It just it would just slow them down. So in this case, I want the rate limiter interface to kind of like add Or I guess you just want a method where you can add and check. And then you just have an event. Whether that event is going to be a request or not should probably be... And then you need to return a response here, which... So rate limiting is actually very interesting when it comes to HTTP. So rate limiting like has some associated headers that you should use for HTTP, which is like X. That doesn't feel right. I mean, this is the IETF though, so maybe it's official. I always thought it was X prefixed. 429? Yeah, too many requests. These are the header specifications. I always thought they were X prefixed. Yeah, I think it is going to be a good video idea. I have a video in mind for it as well. So... 2023, it's expired. Is it actually... I don't think it's actually placed in it. I always thought... Okay. Yeah. These are ones that I actually know. X rate limit. So I guess that's just a proposal. Okay. Bloody medium. I can't even close this. Not this one. Why does this keep coming to the top? No, it has changed actually since 2023. Okay, so it did. It's still in draft, but I guess it has been accepted. Defines rate limit, so that is the right headers now. Interesting, I didn't know that. Huh. I learned something today as well. So I guess this is... Where's the actual, like, up-to-date one, though? This looks like it says it expired. Maybe it is still correct. Expired internet draft. Yeah, X is custom. 420 is also good for rate limiting. Enhance your calm. Last year. I don't know if this is still on hold though. This is the thing. Night Phoenix. Sorry, I'm going down a rabbit hole here. What does Envoy do? So my understanding was the 3 rate limit fields are custom ones, right? X prefixed. IETF 910, 911. Let's have a look. This is too much. I don't think I can read this. Unused, I guess that's what they are hoping for. But yeah, 420 is Envoy. Yeah, the Kubernetes sidecar proxy. HTTP caching. I don't know why, but this website is so hard to read. Probably because my face is over it, but... X rate limit remaining. So there's how much rate you have left, how much is remaining, and when it... Okay, these are the three here. X rate limit displays the applicable rate limits for the current request. X rate limit remaining. X rate limit reset. Okay. So time in seconds until it resets. So those are the three things we really want in this response. So limits remaining reset. The code should be 429. Yeah, I mean, I like 420, but 429 I think is the correct code. Too many requests. Yeah, that is ideally the correct one. You can still do 420 though, but 420 I think has been deprecated. So this is my only issue with currying, is like you get double nesting. I've seen servers that return 200 with a JSON that has a status and messaging site. Yeah, I've seen those as well. They're horrendous. 420 was always unofficial. Yeah, it was. Open blog post, scroll to find code box, no code box. Yep. That's exactly right, Shai. .503 on rate limiting, that is cursed. .200 with a JSON message. Yeah, awful. So here we want to just basically ask the limiter, the backend. I guess you would just check, add and check limit. Why don't I use snake case? Trez, that's a great question. So you can use Redis or anything. I probably will like build different limiters. So like type Redis limiter. That will conform to this interface, but the user can inject whichever limiter they want. RFC 1149, yeah, that's a good one. And its derivatives as well. Yeah, so the idea is like anybody can use a different type of rate limiter or rate limiter backend. You could call this limiter backend or whatever, but... And then all this function does is check the limit. Oh, I guess you can do limiter, add and check limit. Passing in the request. I don't know if passing in the request is right, but I think it makes sense because you may want to pull out additional information from the rate limiter, from the request. Do I tend to lean towards Redis or use the Postgres key value store? I tend to lean towards Redis. Yeah, I tend to lean towards Redis personally. All right, so here's the real question. If there's an error when checking the rate limit, what do you do by default? Valkey, yeah, obviously Valkey. You're right, 100% right. Gobology. Limiter. So limiter here is the name of, this is the parameter name, or the variable name, and limiter is the type. Comment that into the interface. Passing the request makes sense. Yeah. 500. I think it really depends, right? In some applications, you probably still want to continue. And I think, yeah, the limiter should be like, should continue, I guess. Well, that's not going to be good here. I think that has to be like a configuration. Log and pass through for a single error here. 500ing for more errors and a single user limit 8. What is middleware return type? Middleware return type is... Okay, let's look at the middleware type first. It's a HTTP handler. Well, it's a function that accepts an HTTP handler and returns an HTTP handler. Sure, I think you're correct, logging it out and then... It definitely could be a security issue. I think only in the, well, only in the sense that it could... It's really application specific, isn't it? For some applications, like, you don't want to limit if there's something broken. Like, if Redis is down, that's on you to fix, I guess. And, like, if your customers are getting... I think logging is correct, logging with an error, which means you need to pass in the logger as well. UX versus security, yeah. $500 for more errors than the single user rate limit. Can't use functions inside of a type that aren't interfaces. Now everyone that wants to use your middleware needs to be using slog.logger. I mean, that's a very good point. I mean, I'm assuming people would anyway, considering my logging middleware also uses the slog logger. And I think the structured log logger is the right thing to do. Just do an error. If error, don't. No errors. Yeah, it's more for personal use. I mean, I think this is trying to cover every use case is going to be difficult, I think. Catch you later, Wolfric. Sure, you can drop the link in here as well if you want. Yeah, risk scenarios, rate limiter doesn't work, users bypassing it. Possible cases are bypassed it for a single error. Who cares? bypassed it now and are abusing it. Yeah, so I'm assuming though that the error is something's gone wrong on the back end, which is, I don't know if it's right to cause the app to crash or to cause the app to be unusable just because the rate limiter has failed. It does mean people can then abuse it during that period of time, which is why the logging is important, because hopefully then your metrics can catch it. Yeah, you're right. Do you need the limit struct? So you need the limit struct in order to return information back to the user, which is, for the moment, we're just gonna handle it next. I think that's fine. But here, so in that case, we're just going to handle this. Here, we're going to check the limit though. So you want to check if the remaining is... Well, this is where it starts to become an issue as well, because the limit and the remaining are 2. I assume the remaining being 0 will happen... Exceeded, I think, is also what we need here. Logger through the middleware or through the limiter? Yeah. I think we can do it through the middleware. The only problem is it would be nice to log it here. The only... because you kind of want to know that the limiter is failing. But I guess you could pass it into the... Let's do it in the actual... Let's do it in the limiter, I guess. Problem is somebody might implement a limiter that doesn't have a logger associated with it. Why rate limiter does have to send error out and not just say that the limit is reached? I'm not sure I understand the question fully. There are a lot of ways to bypass the rate limit in a web server, multiple endpoints, incorporating blank characters and coder parameters. Adjusting the parameter code. Yeah, I think it depends how your rate limiter is set up, right? So you could be rate limiting based on IP. You could be rate limiting based on user accounts. There's a number of different ways, right? If you type in the doc files command, you should be able to find it. Yeah, that's what and Shai is correct, right? This is what the interface is for, so somebody can add their own rate limiter. Generally, and you're right, maybe the error shouldn't return back, because in that case, the limiter itself should be defining whether or not... So returning a status code of 500, I think that makes a lot of sense. And then the limiter itself can return an error or proceed if not. And you're right, Shai. The interface is the one that should be making that decision. That's why we have the interface. Correct. Yeah, you're correct, Shai. Is it dots or dot files? Let me try it. Maybe it's dots. There you go, dots. Middleware is in charge of relevant error coding. Yep, Shai, you are 100% correct. You don't think the right header actually flushes? I don't know about that. We'll find out. Okay, so if limit dot exceeded, I guess if not limit dot exceeded, we can just do HTTP Let's do the positive case going on. So here is where we want to write back the header of http.status. Where are the tmux config files? They should be in the same .files repo. Yeah, Slog is really cool, Syllabob. Slog is one of the better packages they've added recently. For like a week. Man, I'm jealous. I've been doing video stuff for the last couple of weeks. Okay, so X rate limit. All right, what were those? X rate limit displays the applicable rate limits for the current request. We can just add these in basically. Carl, sorry, let me scroll up. Carl Webster. We'll be asking where are the tmux config files? Yeah, they're in the dots files. Oh, you found them. Good, 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 good. Most of that is done with the font though, so you'll need a nerd font in order to get them. Go does not have stack trace? What do you mean? You can print out the stack trace and go. Reset and remaining. So all we need to do here is just pass these in. Nim? I'd love to give Nim a go. So many buttons on Twitch. Error stack traces how? Let me have a look. So you can do the runtime/debug. Wait. Print stack. Or as Andrew does, would that work? Shouldn't you write the headers all the time? If it's exceeded, we know it's exceeded by the status code, right? Shouldn't you write the headers all the time? You are correct. We should write the headers all the time. Cannot use late. Why not? Seconds is a float. So we got to floor it. Yeah. That's distinct. I I actually stumbled across that, but it is an expired draft. I think there was like something about it since January 2023 that it might be getting approved, but it looked like it re-expired again. Thursday Kai, can you please make a video about your new dev workflow? It looks very zen and you can't break from the flow state. Yeah, I'll do a video on it. The Zen developer workflow. Absolutely. J Trinity, thank you so much for the 4th month in a row subscription. You are helping me bring my content to hundreds of thousands of people around the world and helping to support my dreams. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Shai, you are 100% correct. It does need to seal, right? Because you want it to be the max amount of time in case somebody does it half a second too soon. Can't use math.seal. Why? Okay, so it has to int. That's a lot of parentheses. All 7 versions of it are expired. Yeah. Drink. I got it, Ligma. I drank. Yeah, J Trinity, thank you for keeping me hydrated as well. 7 Oda, how exceeded updates? I'm not sure if I follow. Oh, how exceeded is updated? How the value of exceeded? So that will be dependent on the actual limiter itself. So for that video, I'll probably build one using a rolling window with Redis. Is the X prefix needed for headers? I thought it's not a standard. It's custom headers. So anything with an X prefix is a custom header. In our case, there's no standard header for rate limiting. This tends to be the general standard one. I mean, we can give this a go as well. Actually, no, we can't. We don't have a rate limiter. We can easily add a simple in-memory one. We can do an IP rate limiter here. Here it has a IPs, I guess. Ugh. This won't be a rolling window. IP rate limiter. Adding one in like the next 5-10 minutes is going to be a bit too much. The banana's grabbing your attention? Yeah, it will do that. It'll do that. Okay, but let's do a really quick one. This isn't going to work, but we can do like IPs. Those who can't do review. That was basically my last job. Would it make sense to provide a few standard limiter implementations with the middleware? Yeah, I think it would. I mean, that's definitely where that video is going to be, right? This is definitely a prelude to that video. But yeah, making a few standard ones would make sense. So, of course, there's like different properties you can rate limit off. So you could have one based on IP, so it's taking the request IP. You can have one that then you pass in a header. So, I mean, there's definitely a few different standard ones, but it would make sense. It would make it a lot easier for other people to use the package. So you could do like an IP in memory. Although this... See, maybe there's a way to build rate limiters out of components. I'm wondering if there's a way to do that. Glider, when did I start live streaming? A little while back, actually. I only do it once a week, so it's not a huge thing. But yeah, a little while back. Decouple what you're matching on from where you're storing. Yeah, I think you're right, Sailor Bob. Obviously, this limiter itself should just exist. But yeah, you might want to do an IP matcher paired with a Redis storage. And you may want to do a user ID matcher or like a header matcher, right? So like you could pass in, say it's like in-memory store. Oh, this is getting interesting now. Okay. This itself could be a big framework. But yeah, like you can have type limiter storage interface, right? This is the storage for it. And then type limiter property or whatever interface. And then you just do like get prop from like a request. Or get key or something like that. And then this limiter property, you could have like a IP property. I mean, this could just easily be a function, to be fair, actually. You can... So for property limiter or whatever, just takes a function in and then has like a backend. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Shai. I'll check these out. Yeah, you just need a prop extractor. You're right. Hey, Anakin Sinone. Doing well, thank you. I'm going to take a look at these. Oh, very cool. Should rate limit. That's always a good one as well. Cool. Catch you in a bit, Shai. Thanks for sharing these resources. I'm going to nerd out on these later on. Yeah, rate limit by IP. Oh, nice. So I guess... Okay, so let's... I don't really want to do this in this file. Let's do... Well, we can do it down here, actually. Generic limiter. Here we go. Let's try that. And then it has a function, or it owns a property extractor, I guess. I really liked that term for it, Sailor Bob. Property extractor, which is a function that you can make it generic, but let's say it just takes a request and returns a string. Although we could generalize this. It's been a while since I've done generics, actually. I don't think that's right. And returns T. How do we do generics in Go again? Thank you, Anakin Sinone. Fetch an update. Yeah, I like that. Okay, because I'm getting confused with Rust here. Scala like generics? Yeah, kind of like, so here you have like a generic limiter, which extracts a property. Honestly, you could probably just do this as a string. I don't think there would be any reason to do something other than a string. But this is like your property abstractor. And then you could have like a function by ID, which takes a request. Oh, by IP, sorry, not ID. And then you can do r dot. Well, this won't work because for a reason, but just pretend for the moment that it will. So you can return the remote address. Obviously, this doesn't work. Okay, now dumb go question. Yeah, it won't work behind a reverse proxy. You're absolutely right. That's why it won't work. Okay, now dumb go question. What is the pointer on HTTP request? That just means it's a pointer value, basically. But as Kompotchik said, you're 100% correct. It will not work on a reverse proxy. So instead you have to use return r dot. I mean, this is where it gets a bit confusing because you want to handle both cases. But you would do return r dot h header dot get x forwarded 4. Most likely header will do. But headers are also, well, the problem is the XFF can be spoofed. So you kind of can't do it by header either, because you could easily spoof the XFF. XFF is kind of difficult to handle as well. I mean, remote address, if it's just exposed to the internet, which most of the time it isn't going to be. Yeah, multiple prop extractors for either case. In my case, it's always going to be the XFF usually. But you could do by remote adder, right? I think that would be fine. And then do by XFF. Forwarded 4. But then you probably want to split this. So strings split. Because somebody could. Somebody can spoof this. But yeah, that's where the property extractor kind of pattern here comes quite nicely, because you can then just create. Ooh, you can even create. This is where you get a little bit Java-y and start creating factories, right? But yeah, everything can be spoofed. XFS is just more easy, but you're correct. The reverse proxy should chain it, so you always take the most recent one. Or it depends how many layers you have in front of your... actually, I guess you can do layer. It's never too many questions. Sorry if it's too many questions, but can you make a video on your current NeoVim configuration, how to build one for any workflow? Yeah, I really want to restart that series again, and I probably will do it. Yeah, you can pass you can pass XFF works by appending IPs onto the chain. But if you start your XFF, so like they'll add they'll add kind of their IP to it, or it's at the beginning. I can't remember how XFF works actually. I think it's at the beginning. How does XFF header work? Added or edited by HTTP proxies. So normally the easiest way to spoof XFF is to just add it yourself, like add a fake IP to it or start a chain. And then if you're reading from the wrong direction, I believe it's the start. If you read from the start of the XFF, that will be what you think will be the origin. You can easily spoof that. So you need to read the XFF from before the layer you are confident with. Usually that's one layer, but in some setups that can be multiple layers, so kind of difficult. Have I used Goland? I have not. I don't really use JetBrains, apart from their font. Okay, yeah, client, proxy. So the problem is if you read from this first client, you can easily spoof that. Although it doesn't actually say anything about how to, when choosing the first trustworthy, yeah, here we go. Trusted proxy count, that's what, or trusted proxy list. So there's two ways to trust it here. This is actually a very good resource on it. So ideally, you need to know either your proxies that you trust, which is something you can configure, or you do it based on count. So that's something we'll also need to add into this. So like trusted count, and then you just minus off of that, or you can do funcs trusted list. So this could probably just be a configuration. I'll do trusted count for the moment. But let's say you have one reverse proxy. You don't know the IP of it, but you know that it is in there. You can then just filter. You just look back n number of proxies, basically. The other approach is to have a bunch of IPs. So like if it's a private IP, you can just filter those out at the end. Yeah, -1, that's the most basic one. If you only have one proxy, sometimes you can have multiple proxies though. So -1 doesn't work. You need to configure it. Sometimes you can have multiple proxies, right? If you use like a service mesh or anything like that, easily enough. Since this is non-standard, yeah, specific proxies. Most of them should implement this way, but you're right, it is non-standard, so there is obviously going to be bias in there. X real IP. Can it be spoofed though? That's the question. Oh yeah. -1 after the trusted proxies. Yeah, you're 100% correct. Well, yes, you're correct. This looks like a good blog post, actually. Any header not specifically set by your reverse proxy cannot be trusted. For example, you must not check the X real IP header if you're not behind Nginx or something else. So yeah, again, that's going to be very implementation specific. X real IP does work. But I mean, you have to set your proxy. Yeah. It depends on your proxy setup. You're 100% correct. In this case, I'll just do trusted count because for me, I usually know my architecture layout. If you have an IP list, then that's probably also a good one to do. You just filter all private IPs, filter all IPs that you know are from your proxy. If you're working on a VPC, that's incredibly easy to do. And then you just look at the rightmost one. But we'll just do this because that's probably all I'm ever going to do. But I mean, yeah, rate limiting is actually a very interesting topic. Anyway, I actually am over time. I got to go eat some lunch because I'm starving. So we're going to call it there. And then there'll be a video out on this anyway. But I'll continue adding on to this. Thanks for everyone who paired on this one. That was a lot of fun. Big shout out to Shai as well. And Sailor Bob. Capture the trusted count in a closure and not an argument. You mean as in not passing this as an argument to like a generic limiter? Yeah, you're right. So it needs to be... So this needs to return. like that. There's a trust proxy config in Node.js. I'll take a look at it. Homesick, enjoy your dinner. Right, everyone, we're going to find somebody to go and raid, because that's the nice thing to do. But yeah, a lot of fun today. Thanks everyone who participated. And if you lurked, I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, F4? Yeah, let's do OF4. Super based. All right, let's do that. When am I going to use Godot? I promise. I promise soon. All right, we got 10 seconds, everyone. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, everyone on YouTube and everyone on Twitch. There's a new video coming out tomorrow, so I'm excited for that one. I'll see you in there.